Welcome to this podcast for Cue the Code. My name's Henry. This is Fernando. Please go ahead and make your introduction, Fernando.
Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I've been working with startups for the past 8, 9 years, and everywhere from the tip of Chile all the way up to the northern regions of Canada, on this continent, and then across the pond over into Africa, and some startups over into the Indian and Australian region. I've always worked with connecting. I'm mainly a connector of startups to investors usually, and it's been a really interesting journey, and it's ever evolving.
Nice. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm the founder of App Inventors. We're a web development company.
Ready to transform your digital presence? You're in the right place. From custom app development to seamless web solutions, we specialize in building innovative tools tailored to your needs. Whether you're a startup, small business, or enterprise, our team turns your ideas into powerful, user-friendly applications. Ready to elevate your online presence? Visit appinventors.com and let's create something amazing together. appinventors.com. Innovate your future.
Today, we got a very interesting subject, which I think most of the time people don't talk about just because it's not sexy, right? I mean, I think that often in entrepreneurship, we have this idea almost like a movie star, right? Where you're just, you're an entrepreneur, so you're wealthy and you're jet setting and you're talking to investors and, you even have time to go to the gym and look great, you know what I'm saying? Which I think is a part that's kind of a misnomer, but we'll definitely discuss that. I think that too often what'll happen is, and there's an old saying that says, you can spend your whole life, trying to get money, and then you spend all that money you got trying to get your health back from having worked so hard to get that money, right? So, what's the point of getting, wealthy in entrepreneurship or achieving these goals if at the end of the day, you end up not being able to enjoy it because you basically ruined your health, and I think it's a very important subject. I'll be honest, at first I was kind of like, well, you know what? That actually is true because it doesn't just affect our industry as far as tech industry. I think, in many ways, since we live in such a hyper capitalistic society, where, hey, it's dog eat dog and there are only winners here, you got to compete. So I think that
Yes.
oftentimes we push our health to the side because of that. And it's obviously
Right.
wrong, right? Because, what's the point of doing all that if you end up, having a heart attack or a stroke, which is actually quite common, So,
Right.
Especially for us men, as we age, strokes and heart attacks, if we don't take care of ourselves, they can affect us, In all honesty, I am not where I would like to be. I'm sure most people feel that way. Before we get into the whole subject, let's get into some of these questions that the smartest person on the planet told us, AI. Right? So, here we go. Here's the first one. How does sleep deprivation impact decision making and productivity for entrepreneurs?
Geez, sleep deprivation and productivity. Sleep deprivation. Yeah, no, I've met many of a startup that hasn't slept in months and years, and usually it's the core group. It's the founder, it's the co-founder, and maybe two other people that haven't slept in weeks, but they're trying to give it their all, while others on the team uh, are lackadaisical. They're not committed. They don't feel the urge. It's only those who are fully invested that really give their all to it, and so in giving their all to it, they usually have nothing left.
That is so true. From my own personal, experience, just in running a web development company, we definitely do. I do a lot of the coding myself, but I also offshore a lot of the coding. Now, I think oftentimes what ends up happening because of that is that I have to work late into the night because the offshore team, their night is my day. So I ended up staying up late or waking up super early in order to work with them. And I think that that's one of the warnings I always tell people. They're like, well, as far as a web development company, what is the biggest value bring? And I tell them, it's the stress that I take off of you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You're not going to have to stay up late and deal with the language barrier or not understanding why the code doesn't work. I can kind of offload that from you. Of course, that does stress me out sometimes, because then
Mhm.
I end up, either usually ends up being that I work extra late,
Mhm.
sometimes till 1 or 2 in the morning. And of course, every once in a while, I got to get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning just to be able to match that time and discuss
Mhm.
code, which isn't exactly the funnest thing to do at 4 in the morning. Uh,
No.
so, I think for me, in my personal case, that's kind of how it's affected me as far as sleep deprivation.
Right. No, I've had those phone calls with folks in Africa and the Middle East. If you're connecting investors with folks in Saudi Arabia, that you've got to take that phone call in the middle of the night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, and it's definitely one of those things where it makes you think about what has value, right? What do you really want, um, and why it's important to you. I mean, um, they always say do what you love and you never work again, you never have to work. But I would, it's definitely difficult to do that, in the sense that sometimes you got to do things you hate, and that's just the reality of life. And to have this kind of quixotic, kind of lofty view of the way of being an entrepreneur is, you got to be ready for the pain as well. So good. Yeah. Yes, that's the truth. Although I want to have my cake and eat it too, like everybody, you know. Awesome. What are the most effective ways for busy entrepreneurs to integrate exercise into their daily routine?
oh gosh, see, I could give you the Cracker Jack box answer
Yeah,
for that, and that is just
yeah.
scheduling it in the middle of the day, uh, taking your meetings on hikes. One time I was with this one investor. She took me on this hike. Woman was phenomenally in shape, and I
Oh
wasn't at the
wow.
time, and I was still in dress shoes, and I was up in the hills and niches of the hills of Playa Vista,
Oh wow.
just huffing and puffing with this woman, but she was at a complete stride, and just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to
And of
see
course, you
if
you
I could
can't
keep
you
up with
can't
her.
show any you can't show you're sweating or it's hurting, right? You got to tough it
No,
out, right?
yeah, you got to tough it out. If she says the meeting is going to
Yeah,
be on a hike, the meeting's on a hike.
yeah.
Yeah,
Next time I'm gonna say Mount Everest, bro, and you better be ready. That's all
yeah,
I gotta
you
say.
know. And she was amazing. She was an investor from Russia, but
Oh,
she had done a lot of work in San Francisco, and so
wow.
yeah, she
Yeah,
she
yeah,
she
yeah. And
knew her
then,
stuff. She knew her ecosystem.
and in Russia, they still walk everywhere. It's not like
Yeah,
here where we drive, especially here in Los Angeles where we drive everywhere. In Russia, they
right.
still walk, like in the old world, the way they used to. So, what I do to integrate exercise, I always say, pick a hobby and a hobby that's some kind of exercise, whether it's walking, whether it's running, whether it's the actual gym. For me personally, a lot of times people ask me, how do you stay in great shape? Because believe it or not, under here, I think I'm okay for my age. I got a dog. I walk my dog literally 5 miles a day, like 2.5 in the morning and 2.5 at night, basically 5 days a week. And
Hmm.
then, twice a week, I hit the gym, either one day I'll do upper body. And then I'm not one of those people that subscribes to doing like one body part per day. At my age, I just can't do it anymore. So I do upper body one day and then lower body the next time, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And, honestly, right now, I just want to maintain,
Right.
so, that's how I integrate it. I also body surf, but like I said, pick a hobby that you enjoy. I love body
Right.
surfing, so but there's not always waves, so I can't always
Right.
body surf. But on the days I
Just like
can,
it.
yeah,
Just like the entrepreneurial world, there's not always waves. You just have to be patient.
yes, too often
Right.
it's that old story. You see in January the gym is full. By March,
Hmm.
nobody's there anymore.
Right.
So
But everyone's got the
just
bill.
yes, everybody gets the bill, the monthly bill. So yeah, pick a hobby, pick a type of exercise you like, and stick to it. That's what I give as advice. As far as that goes. Um, let's
Yeah,
see.
no, you already know I eat terribly.
I'm not
I
gonna
eat
say
like
anything.
I eat like a fourth grader, and if there's chocolate cake around, I'm there.
I'm gonna put
Um,
chocolate on top of it.
and I'll put some more additional chocolate on top, and I'll have a cup of coffee with it.
Oh,
So, yeah, I need to straighten it all out. I've been adding a lot of salads to my repertoire, so we'll
nice.
see.
Nice. Hey, it all comes down to calorie restriction, man.
Hmm.
It really doesn't matter how much you eat, is it whether or not you're burning those calories,
True.
Uh, you can live off chocolate. You can actually lose weight on chocolate, but you can only have one slice per day.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
all the food you can eat. So, you
Right.
know, obviously that's not healthy, but calorie restriction is the way to lose weight.
Yeah.
All diets are a combination of calorie restriction. That's really
Right.
what they are. So, okay.
Definitely.
All right. So, question number 4. How can entrepreneurs optimize their nutrition for sustained energy and focus? Wow.
Geez,
You want me to repeat
that
that one?
yeah, that's probably an area I've never thought of.
Yeah.
How
How
can
can
they
entrepreneurs,
optimize?
yeah, optimize their nutrition for
Mhm.
sustained energy and focus? I mean, obviously having a good diet, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, obviously,
or a wife that loves you.
right?
What I'm saying?
But my question is this: if you're a broke entrepreneur, if you're entrepreneur is really just tooth and nail everything,
So many,
do you
so
have
many of
that
them end up
luxury?
top ramen, right? I mean, that's the old
Right,
story of entrepreneurs having top ramen and living off of
right.
that.
The,
Um,
the
you
the ones that have success, the ones that get bought out by XYZ company, the ones that scale up and have tremendous success, they could probably tap into all these recommendations, but the others have to make do with what they have and really just, I mean, I guess dedicate so much of their bandwidth to health and the success of their company and find
yeah,
that balance in between the two.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, you want a diet that's varied with, different types of food, low sugar, low carb for the most part. Um, talking about focus, this is not me plugging anything. This is not my company, but just because we're being honest, I actually do take, when I code or I get on the computer, I take this thing called Focus Recall. Now,
Mm,
this is actually a neurotropic, right? So it actually energizes your brain cells, right? The connections in your brain cells, and helps you focus. I don't do it every day because I
mhm,
think that it kind of makes me a little bit jittery. But I think I do it like every other day, and I like it. Um, I know that a lot of coders take the ADHD medications like Ritalin.
mm,
I don't do that, but I know a lot of them do, just because it
mhm,
does help them focus. Um, but obviously, we're talking about real drugs here. So
mhm,
I wouldn't recommend that, but that is the truth. Some of them do that. So
mhm.
FYI, I don't recommend it, like I said, but we're being honest and we're talking about
Wow.
what entrepreneurs are doing.
Right.
So I know coders that pop an ADHD Ritalin every day,
Mm.
and just
And
to
then
cope.
of course, there's all the other not over the counter substances that can heighten your
Yeah, yeah. Which
nervous system.
we're not going to even. That's on you if you want to go down that route. You
No,
know.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Wouldn't touch it.
yeah. We're not. I'm not going to do anything that's addictive. That's straight up what it. Because we're all human beings, and addiction is real. None of us are stronger than it. And if you allow
Mm-hmm.
addiction to take over your life, it will.
It will, absolutely.
So,
Playing
okay.
with fire.
Really though, I just make sure that whatever poison you pick is the one you want to pick, because they all will
Oh, yeah.
affect you in some way.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So, according to AI, this was the answer AI. I'm sorry, I haven't been giving the answers out for AI, but I do want to do it now that we're on the fourth one and I remembered. So, this is what AI is saying: avoid processed foods, prioritizing high protein meals, and staying hydrated, improve mental clarity, and prevent energy crashes during long work hours. Kind of generic answer. Not that
Yeah.
impressed, to be honest with you.
But then at the same time, for instance, the mental clarity part,
Yeah.
we haven't talked about mental awareness or mental health conditioning. So a lot of people go do the yoga, do the meditation. That was some of the best things I've ever done as far as maintaining a healthy mindset, is just doing some meditation here and there. I wish I kept up with it. I've met some amazing people in some amazing groups. There's a group out here in LA that does the meditation group, and I met, for instance, this one fella. He was a what do they call the skydive, but with
Oh, the wingsuit divers, the
the
guys that do the
wingsuit,
wingsuits.
the
That is
wingsuit.
so dangerous. Wow, but yeah.
So super dangerous, but
Yeah.
myself being a thrill seeker and whatnot, I was, wow, that seemed like the biggest adrenaline rush. Just meeting the guy was
Was
just
amazing, right? Because
was amazing. Yeah, you just want to poke at him, say you're real.
well, like, are you not Superman? Because you sure look like it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you look at some of those videos and those guys, the things they're
and,
doing.
and 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 they fly like 10 feet from the mountain, bro. Like, it's like
Mm-hmm.
one mistake, and it's like you really take your life in your hands every time. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I imagine they meditate. Meditating is something that literally every humanity should just do once a day. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's hard to meditate, though. I'll be honest with you. Meditating is hard because sitting there and focusing the mind, on
Mm-hmm.
not focusing is probably the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
Because when you sit there and you think, you go off on tangents. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to just sit there like that, that's tough. So I definitely, I think it's incredible people that can pull that off. So
I could
yogis,
thoroughly
etc.
tell you that I used to fall asleep most of the time at the meditation groups, and
Did
once
they
I
catch
think
you snoring? Did they catch you
they
snoring?
caught me snoring. So,
That happened to me at church once. I was so embarrassed.
and you're not supposed to be falling asleep in church.
Yeah, man.
The meditation folks are cool with it because they know it's that good. Their hocus pocus is so good they'll put you to sleep.
They'll put you to sleep. Yeah, man. So, wow. Okay. All right. So now, question number 5. What role does social connection play in an entrepreneur's mental well-being? I guess you're talking about social connections between people, right? I
Right.
imagine. Yeah. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think?
Well, that would be something that I mainly did, because as a connector, you're always,
Yeah.
whenever you meet someone, you think about who can you connect them to, what can they, you start imagining what could happen because of their
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
This person who's in front of me now and the person I know from 10 months ago, 8 days ago, a week ago, what have you. And then so first thing you start telling them is, I'd love for you to meet so and so. They're doing this, that, and the other. And of course, their eyes always bulge a little bit. And then, of course, you have to have the rapport on the other side so that person is willing to receive that introduction or what have you. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're not ready to receive that type of introduction. They're not in the market for a company or a partnership with X, Y, or Z. And that you do the intro and then you back up. and you stay out of it.
You kind of have to let the chips fall where they may, right? I would
Yes.
imagine when you make those introductions, you know. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not, I don't do that, but I think being able to kind of get into someone's brain and say
Mm-hmm.
this the right investor for this person, because not all money
Mm-hmm.
is good money, right? Like you can
Right.
actually, I would imagine you can actually get a bad investor with a bad entrepreneur, and they
Mm-hmm.
can both be great individually, but together for whatever reason, it
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't, click.
They'll never work.
Yeah.
They'll never work. But when I first started going to Silicon Beach events, I met on my first visit. I met a woman who literally took me around the room and started just introducing me to everyone that she could imagine me clicking with
Right.
or
Right.
having a good conversation with. And I just literally went from, bushel of people to bushel of people to bushel of people to bushel of people. And just, I was amazed by what they were saying, what they were doing. And that's what got me hooked, because I had never been in such a space.
Oh,
It was
makes sense.
just a world of possibility.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think social connection play an entrepreneur's mental well-being. Now, from the perspective of somebody that does code, now, look, I'm one of those rare individuals that's kind of extroverted, even though I kind of like messing with code because I like the puzzles. I like the challenge of figuring it out. Like I just enjoy it. But I think that
Mm-hmm.
most people that like to do that are generally introverts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what I've found hanging out with other coders is that if you stay in front of the computer long enough, you start actually losing those social skills. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh yeah. And I've
um,
seen many a guy that just won't look at you in the eye. They're
yeah,
always looking at other place. They're looking at their watch, and they want to be attentive. They
yeah,
know that they're there to socialize. They're there for new opportunities, but they just can't. They don't know how, or they've never been taught.
yeah.
That firm handshake and the look in the eye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. The soft
Reading
skills.
body language, all of that, you kind of
Mm-hmm.
lose it when you're on the computer too much. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes uh, what happens to me is if I'm on the computer for many days straight,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to talk much louder than I should for some
Mm-hmm.
reason. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why that is. Then once I get into some social connection with people, then I kind of go, okay, like this is more where I want to be at. So I do kind of notice that. So I just find that interesting about the human condition that coders tend to be, who are introverted, tend to kind of lose that ability, which is kind of why
Right.
you need three people in a company, right? Like they always say you want three people in a company. You want the coder guy? Oh, four. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Break it down.
No, you need the founder, the co-founder, the I forget what it was. Oh God, it's like
The coder guy, right? The
the
code
coder
guy,
guy,
the
and then the
CTO.
person that wrangles everyone.
Yeah.
Because usually your founder is up in the clouds, and they're lofty and thinking big things. They might do a little bit of code, but they're just opening doors wherever they can.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Depends
and
on the
also
on
too,
start.
they
Go
gotta have
ahead.
the gift of gab, right? Like that dude has to be able to walk in and woo an investor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
with me as a developer, I'm over there wooing the investor. Then it's kind of like um, not that I mind, but I think that you definitely want you know that person to have that kind of gift of gab, or at least have enough confidence to bullshit his way through. Whether
Mm-hmm.
either way is fine, but you got to have that in you, and I
Right.
think it definitely takes a personality type to do
Definitely.
that. So yeah, okay, all right. So let's see what AI has to say about that. Isolation is common among entrepreneurs, leading to stress and anxiety. Building a
Oh, yeah.
strong support network, engaging in mastermind groups, and scheduling downtime with friends and family prevent burnout.
Right.
That makes sense. That
So
makes
so
sense.
important.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to question number 6. What are the warning signs of burnout and how can entrepreneurs recover from it? I'm sure you've seen a lot of that.
It's burnout. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
How do they recover from it? Change the frequency, change the environment, uh, interact with folks, go out for a movie, go out for dinner, have some drinks. Not too many, but have some drinks. Break the norm, break the cycle,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
otherwise you're
think
just on
that
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 rhythm, that poor
yeah,
rhythm.
I think that one of the things that also that people have to understand about starting a business or entrepreneurship is that there will be peaks and the worst valleys of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there really will be days where nobody can knock you off your square. Where you're just
Mm-hmm.
positive and you're into it and you're feeling it and you're moving
Mm-hmm.
forward and you're on your mission. Um, but inevitably, there will be days where you're gonna hate life. I don't know how to say it. You're gonna be mad that
Mm-hmm.
something didn't work out. An investor you thought that was gonna come
Mm-hmm.
through is not gonna come through. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing my mom always said is it's always easy when things going great, right? To be
Right.
positive, but it's really the real character comes out when things are hard. That's the
Right.
real you.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where you
so
discover yourself.
yeah, is in the
No, seriously,
hardship in the valleys.
you find yourself in the valleys. The valleys
Yeah,
are where all the learning happens.
exactly. And it's those lessons you get when things go wrong are so much more valuable, and you tend to remember them much longer than the
Mm-hmm.
lessons you get when things go good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Victories are
so
nice,
so
but
yeah, but you got to be ready for that. I think as an entrepreneur, and be ready for those valleys that, for lack of a better term, are depressing, bro. Like
mm-hmm.
it's it's
Mm-hmm.
uh it's hard. It's
Yeah.
harder than you think. As hard as you
Right.
think it is, it's harder than that.
It's harder than that, but then at the same time, if you look at it for what it is, and there's a lesson in there, and you're going to
Yeah,
learn something from it. You're going to come out on the other side. Nothing's going to kill you
yeah,
unless you let it kill you, or you drive yourself into that hole. But everything's got a lesson in it. Everything.
yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All right, let's see what AI has to say about burnout. Loss of motivation, chronic exhaustion, and declining performance indicate burnout. Recovery involves delegating tasks, taking real breaks, and
Mm-hmm.
reassessing priorities. Let me talk about those real breaks. I'm glad it said that because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, I'll be working and I'll be coding, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta take a break, and instead I end up grabbing my phone and working on something else, and that's not a real
Different.
break, right? Because it's
No.
not. You're just using brain power for something else, you
Right.
know. And to be quite honest with you, most of the time, my brain gives me about a good 5 hours of real creativity, of real brain power. And after that, I'm working at 20%. My brain just kind of
Right.
goes, okay, 5 hours is all you got. Everything else, if it's not like a manual labor type thing where I can just repetitively, my brain
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't, it can't do it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I got to take these real breaks where I,
Mm-hmm.
take the dog for a walk, go to the beach, kind of really get my mind off of something so that I can kind of cheat my brain and then be able to come back and do another 4 hours.
Right. Right.
Um, you know,
Definitely.
I tend to do my creative code stuff. Like, and what I mean by that is like Premiere Pro, Photoshop, stuff where you're kind of just, pressing buttons and being creative versus code where you're kind of doing a lot of math. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I find that I have to kind of split those, into two, one in the morning, one in the day, coding in the morning, and then I'll do the other stuff at night. Because I can only get like 4 hours out of coding out of me. After that,
Right.
it's all Chinese.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's very important to take those breaks. I'm glad it said that. All right. So question number 7. How can technology help entrepreneurs maintain a healthy work-life balance? Oh God, I hate hearing that word. Work-life balance. I don't think it's real, man. I think it's
It's
a
not
lie
real.
they tell us. It's not real,
Well,
right? Come on.
if you have a 9 to 5, sure, I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
plan
yeah,
work-life balance, but I don't
yeah.
see work-life balance when the future is unplanned.
Yeah.
You don't know what's around every corner. You really don't. So
Yeah.
some things are going to take you a day, an afternoon, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and other things are going to take you 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. You
Yeah.
just don't know. So planning, yeah,
Yeah.
go
Makes
for it.
sense. Go
But
for it.
it's it's it's
Ha-
it's yeah, it's a mirage.
yeah. How do you? Let me ask you something. What if you like you? I mean, it's probably not even possible. But what if you were like a top entrepreneur that would say, okay, on Sundays nobody can call me, nobody can talk to me. I'm just spending time with myself or my family. Do you
Oh
think
no.
that would work, or there's always a drama on Sunday, right?
No, 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 no. There's my at least the angle that I'm taking, the opportunity is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hmm.
Because of the fact that we're globally connected.
Yes.
So that those folks in Africa might call me at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, on a Saturday night or a Friday night. They know to call me Fridays and Saturday nights for
Yeah.
phone calls. The guys in India, same thing. They know to call me on
Yeah.
a Friday or Saturday night, and then the other nights I will be asleep. But you could get me on those nights pretty good. But you have to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you're attacking the global market.
Yeah. 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 And in reality, there are pretty much all entrepreneurs have a global market mindset. I rarely hear entrepreneurs saying, I'm only regional, If anything,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is for to solve everybody's problems, which is obviously
Right.
not true. But that's how that you cannot take that away from them because you need that from an entrepreneur. You need them to really believe it, in order to
And at
push
the same
forward.
time, if you're starting really micro, if you're starting really super micro with your business, it could be a storefront, business that you're selling certain type of food or clothing or service, and you might just have those beautiful 9 to 5 type job, but you still have to open and close the store. You got to keep the books. You got to put out the fires.
Get your
And
taxes ready, which takes time, and yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah. Heavy is the crown, right? So
yes.
okay. All right. Let's see what AI has to say about work-life balance. Product productivity apps, AI assistants. Oh, well, you know what? It did talk about technology. So let's talk about that. Obviously I use AI to write all my emails now. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Now I just kind of go, I tell AI, this is what I want to say. Literally just 2 or 3 lines. It's all misspelled. And I put in the email I'm trying to respond to, and it writes something so much better than I could have ever written. You know,
Hmm.
so that's one productivity app that has actually helped me in my business to be able to stay on task.
Hmm.
Instead of having to sit there and think specifically what I want to say, I can use AI to give me pretty much it can get me 90% of the way there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I do
But it,
use AI. Oh,
but
go ahead.
can it be strategic?
Yes, that's the question. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
question.
yeah,
Can
yeah,
AI
yeah.
be
Are you?
strategic?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you when you're like for example, like if you're like I'm just throwing this out there, I could be wrong, but like if you're specifically looking for an investor, you want to know his background, right? So you need to do a
Hmm.
certain amount of research. You can't just count on AI to do all
Mm-mm.
that for you,
You
right?
can't. No. And then strategy.
Yeah,
Strategy. Creative ways to approach the investor, to approach the problem, to approach that market, that niche that you really want to expand upon, that you really want to exploit.
yeah, yeah.
There's where the human touch, the creativity is still very human. AI isn't there, isn't ready.
All right, number 8. How does financial stress affect an entrepreneur's health, and how can it be managed? Wow,
Shoot. The
that's a
entrepreneur could
tough
leave
one.
could leave
Yeah.
entrepreneurism and go back to his regular job.
Yeah, that's like the exactly. That's that's why it's kind of a it's almost a misnomer,
Right.
you know, because look, just the act of being an entrepreneur is stressful.
Yes.
Most people can't handle it. That's the truth.
Right.
Being able to say, I'm gonna, Yes, I can work a regular job and have my weekends off and then hang out in the afternoons and go to my bar or the gym or whatever it is. But as an entrepreneur, you can't. You just can't do that. You know,
Right. And in the
as
texting.
much as in the texting, yeah. Your employees own you as much as you think you hired them. They own you because they come to you asking you like, "What should I do?" You are the leader, so
Right.
so it falls on you.
Right.
Um, so you really are in a position where it's just so hard to stay healthy and manage that.
Yes.
Um, I would say my only advice is just to find, like I said, some kind of hobby that you enjoy, that you look forward to, in between those times when you have a minute to kind of to yourself, or you
And
force it, like you
hopefully,
said on Sundays, you know.
yeah. Or and force yourself to do it, and then of course enjoy it, and make sure it looks nothing like what you actually do in front of a computer screen. And
Yeah,
I think we're all only really talking about entrepreneurs that are in the tech field, correct?
yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah.
I would say a lot of entrepreneurs, unless they're well funded already, then
Hmm.
they're going to go through the same stress, man. Starting a business is one of the most stressful, rewarding things you can do. You know,
Hmm.
so okay, so let's see what AI has to say about managing our stress. Financial uncertainty can trigger anxiety, and poor decision making. Budgeting, diversifying income streams, and seeking financial mentorship help reduce stress. It kind of said what we all said. It said, other
Yeah.
income streams, if you already funded, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like less stressful.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
you know,
And that whole other income streams route sometimes produce a new company,
yeah,
a
yeah. I've
completely
heard
new
a lot of
company.
entrepreneurs say that, where like they're like, well, originally we were going to do this, and then because of that we did this, and that one was successful. You
Yeah.
know,
And
the
it's
one they
complete
didn't think would
pivot
work.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That happens often because I've seen it as well too.
Well, yeah. It's the pivot. It's the famous pivot.
Yeah. The one that people always talk about. So it's
Hmm.
almost like, and a lot of investors actually kind of expect that. Like the high level investors that have been through it, I've heard them say like, "Have you done your pivot yet?" And I'm like, "But this is the product," and they're like, "No, you're going to pivot away from that eventually." And I didn't believe it back
Yeah.
then, but it was true. Like I've seen it so many times, where I'll ask them like, "Well, oh, that was a great idea," and then they say, "Actually, the original idea was X, Y, and Z."
Hmm.
So the pivot is real. It is real.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the 8 questions are what we got. I guess I'll just say my little part about health and entrepreneurship. Health is wealth, right? If you're not healthy, none of this matters.
Hmm.
So definitely taking the time to look at your health and the way you're treating your body, what you're putting in your body, is important. um, it's obviously hard, and one would say next to impossible to find a perfect you know what is it, health life balance. I'm sorry, work life balance.
Hmm.
um, but it's just as important as the actual business you're starting. You
Right.
definitely don't want to hurt yourself in the process of trying to achieve something.
Hmm.
And I think often we tell ourselves, one day I'll get
Hmm.
healthy, one day I'll go to the gym, one day I'll start
Hmm.
eating right. But you got to remind yourself, today is that day. The
Right.
present moment is the most valuable moment. Can't change the
Yeah.
past, and the future is uncertain. So the present moment is the one that really matters.
Hmm.
So being able to find that balance is a struggle, but it's a good struggle. You know.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
those are my thoughts on it. What
And
do you think?
well, I kind of wanted to revisit the reason why I even brought this to your attention.
Yeah,
This topic.
yeah,
Um, I've been doing this for the past 6, 7, 8 years, and a gentleman that I met from Tesla. He was a Tesla executive for LATAM, and things were all hunky dory. We would talk on social media and we'd message each other. It was great. He was birthing a new company in Brazil, and they were going to expand to Mexico. And lo and behold, he just dropped dead in December. No one saw it coming. And he was part of the initial team of the company. He was one of the top 5 employees. He was basically the linchpin there that made the whole thing legit, being ex Tesla and what have you for Latin America. And and it hit me. It's like, wow, these folks are not taking care of themselves. And there was another gentleman a few years before that again, social media is very active. We'd always chat, had a couple of phone calls, never got around to meeting with him, but was a bit of a mentor of sorts from afar. And his social media went cold one day. And so looked further into it, and he had passed away.
Wow.
So, and then talking to people that I had introduced them to, and that also had relationships with all these individuals that I'm talking about, they all said that they didn't see it coming, and it just took them. And we just had to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Too often we live our lives like we're going to live forever, you know, and we got to realize that we're mortal, and nothing is forever, you know. That is the truth of life. So definitely enjoy, those moments with your family, and your hobbies. Yes, being successful it's an amazing thing, but it's not everything, you know.
No.
So
No.
yeah.
Not at all.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Fernando, that was a great subject. I honestly would have never thought of it. For the same reasons that entrepreneurs don't take care of their health, right? So thank you for attending this podcast for Cue the Code. I think it was a great one. And I'll definitely look out for the next one. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. And we'll talk soon. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you, Henry.